I never thought I'd see the day my wife cared about lipstick again. For 30 years, Melissa had been a woman of comfort, practical, steady, more at home in slippers than in heels. Her version of dressing up was a clean sweater and a hint of perfume. But that morning, something had shifted. I leaned against the doorway, coffee in hand, watching her reflection in the mirror as she fastened an old earring, one I hadn't seen in decades. It wasn't just the jewelry. It was the way she looked at herself, not with the dull rhythm of habit, but with purpose. Her reflection almost seemed to smile back, as though she were meeting someone she wanted to impress. "Big day at work?" I asked, keeping my voice easy. She flinched, just a flicker, not guilt. More like she hadn't expected me to notice. "Yeah," she murmured after a pause. "Just a meeting." At 62, Melissa had been retired for 3 years. The lie hovered between us, thin but heavy, like smoke that refused to clear. I didn't press. 3 decades of marriage teaches you that questions are grenades. You pull the pin, you live with the blast. Sometimes silence is the safer weapon. But when she slipped into the blue dress she'd worn for our anniversary back in 2005, a dull ache stirred inside me. Not anger, not jealousy. Something softer, more fragile. A quiet realization that maybe, without noticing, I'd already lost her. When she left, I didn't head to work. I sat in the living room, listening to the echo of her heels fade down the driveway. My phone buzzed, our son asking if I wanted lunch. I typed sure, then erased it. I wasn't hungry. An hour later, I found myself driving aimlessly. Or maybe not aimlessly at all. Because when I saw her car parked outside a small cafe on the east side of town, my pulse stuttered. We'd been there once years ago. She'd said their lemon pie was the best she'd ever tasted. Through the window, I saw her, sitting across from a man, 10 years younger, maybe. Sharp suit, silver watch. The kind of confidence that comes from being wanted. Melissa was laughing, really laughing the way she used to. Before time turned our comfort into quiet. I didn't go in. I couldn't. I just watched, long enough to see her tuck her hair behind her ear, the way she hadn't in years. Then I drove home. My hands clenched the wheel, as though I could still hold on to what was already slipping away. That evening, she came home humming, placing her purse on the counter with soft, content movements. She didn't know that I knew. I wanted to ask who he was. Instead, I said, "How was your meeting?" "Good," she replied lightly. "Just catching up with an old friend." The words were clean, practiced. Maybe she believed them. Maybe she needed me to. That night, she fell asleep easily. I didn't. I stared at the ceiling, listening to her calm breathing beside me, wondering when the woman I loved had started living a life that no longer included me. It's strange how betrayal doesn't always explode. Sometimes it whispers, in the faint scent of new perfume, in laughter saved for someone else, in the sound of your own heartbeat, realizing it's suddenly alone. The next morning I made her coffee. Same as always. She thanked me absently, scrolling through her phone. I studied her face, so familiar, yet distant, like a memory I couldn't quite reach. All the years we'd built together had eroded quietly beneath our feet. I didn't confront her that day, not because I was afraid to lose her, but because I finally understood that she was already gone. The days that followed felt hollow, like walking through a house after everyone's moved out, but the furniture still remains. Melissa carried on, watering her plants, calling her sister. She kept sorting the mail, as if nothing between us had shifted. But I could feel it. The distance, the quiet deceit that hummed beneath every soft good morning, and how was your day? I didn't tell anyone. Not our son, not our daughter, not the friends who danced at our wedding. Some truths are too delicate to speak aloud. Once you share them, they stop being yours and start belonging to everyone else. So instead, I watched. Every Thursday around noon, she'd leave, same perfume, same faint spark of excitement she used to have before our old date nights. Her hair freshly brushed, smile practiced, always saying she was meeting a friend. I'd nod, pretending to believe her, pretending not to notice the soft afterglow she carried home. One night, after she'd gone to bed, I sat in the kitchen with an old photo album. Our honeymoon in Boston. Her smile back then was unguarded, effortless. We were young, broke, but stupidly happy. I traced her face with my thumb and wondered where that version of us had gone. Maybe it hadn't vanished. Maybe it had just aged into silence. By Friday morning, I couldn't keep living in half-truths. So I followed her again. Not to expose her, but to confirm what I already knew. She parked in the same spot, walked into that same cafe. And when the man arrived, I stepped out of the car. My chest was tight, but my mind was clear. That eerie calm before a storm. The bell over the door chimed when I entered. She didn't see me right away. But when she did, her eyes widened, and in that instant, every truth she'd tried to bury flashed across her face. "John," she whispered, setting her cup down. "What are you doing here?" "Just in the neighborhood," I said evenly. The man, polite, startled, stood and offered his hand. "David," he said. "We were just catching up," I finished for him. "Yeah, I heard." Melissa's lips parted, but nothing came out. The silence between us thickened. Strangers pretended not to stare. I turned toward the door. "Enjoy your coffee," I said quietly and walked out before she could respond. That night, she didn't sleep beside me. She stayed in the guest room. By morning, the air in the house felt heavy, every sound too loud, every silence worse. "Over breakfast," she said. "It's not what you think." I looked up from my cup. "Then tell me what it is." She sighed. "He's someone I used to know. We just talk, that's all." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But her voice trembled in all the wrong places. "After 30 years, I said softly, you don't need to explain. I can see it in your eyes." Her gaze dropped to the table. The woman who once could read every thought in my head couldn't even meet my eyes. I stood, rinsed my cup, set it in the sink. "Melissa," I said quietly, "I'm not angry, just tired. Tired of being someone's habit instead of their choice." She didn't answer. And in that silence, I found my clarity. 2 weeks later, I packed a suitcase, not out of rage, but with the calm precision of someone reclaiming what's left of himself. I left her the house, the furniture, the memories, all the things she seemed to love more than she loved me. When I closed the door, the air outside felt cold, but clean. I didn't look back. After 3 decades of loving the same woman, I finally understood. Love isn't measured by how long you stay. It's measured by when you decide to stop staying. Once you realize you're no longer seen. As I drove away, I thought of that morning. The lipstick, the dress, the earrings. Once, the thought made my chest ache. Now it just made sense. Sometimes, people outgrow the version of you they once loved. Sometimes they start dressing for new beginnings. And sometimes, walking away isn't surrender. It's remembering you still deserve to be chosen.